Love Lessons, the show where healthy couples come to share their wisdom from the lessons they've learned in love. We discuss everything from money to parenting to social media, and don't leave out stress and sex. Go get your pen and paper because class is now in session. Come catch your blessings. Welcome to Love Lessons, hosted by Trey Kearney. Welcome to Love Lessons. I am so excited. Welcome to the premiere of Love Lessons. Y'all don't even understand how excited I am. I am just here and thanking God for our instructors for today. The Luptons, yes, Scott and Yolanda Lupton are in the building. Grab your pen and paper because class is now in session for Love Lessons. Welcome, Scott and Yolanda.
Hi, hello. Trey, how are you?
I'm so excited. Listen, this is actually their show, right? So let me tell you a little bit of the backstory of how we met. So we met on BSN podcast meetup, and I was talking about my network, New U Nation Network, and I wanted to have people come on to my podcast, my shows, and everything. And the Lupton sent me an email. We connected, and they taught me such love lessons in our short time together when I was speaking with them. I wish we had recorded that conversation. It was so rich. They had taught me so many love lessons, right? So they have a book. We're going to talk about the book that's called Love Takes Time. And after I got off, I was supposed to have them on another show. I won't name the show right now because hasn't been announced. And I was telling them I'm going to have y'all on this show, but it didn't line up with their brand. I was like, no. No, they better than that. This is bigger than that, right? This is bigger than that. And I was like, what am I going to call this show? And I was like, Love Takes Time. And I said, they will sue me if I steal the name of their book. I can't do that. And then I said, what did I get from the Lupton? And I said, I got lessons. And I said, I got love lessons. And God said, that's it. Love lessons. Come get your blessing. And God speaks to me in rap. So if it don't rhyme, it ain't for me. So he said, love lesson, come get your blessing. He said, that's it. So I thank you guys so much for the inspiration because I had a couple show that I was working on called Couples Corner, but you guys sealed the deal with the love lessons and how you blessed me.
Thanks, Ray. It was a blessing just to speak to you. It was wonderful. It was. And we definitely should have recorded that session. We had a good time.
We dropped some nuggets on you. Y'all missed that.
See, that was just for me. That was just to give me hope and love. That was just to give me hope and love again. Because there's so many people right now. And I can speak for the women and we'll ask Scott to speak for the men. But there are so many women who have lost hope in love. And that's why I'm so glad you guys are here. So let's start with our first question, our first instructional question, because the Luptons are our instructors for today. We're going to ask them, they're going to teach us some things today. So tell us first about your family, about your relationships with your moms and your dads, and ladies first.
Okay. So I had I had my mom and my father in the home. So I was very fortunate. I grew up, in the city, and that wasn't common in a lot of the households that I was around. But my father was an alcoholic, a functional alcoholic for all intents and purposes. And he wasn't really emotionally, involved with us. My mom did all the heavy lifting with us as far as, growing up. We went to her with all of our concerns and issues and things like that. So even though I had my dad in the home, he wasn't connected with us like that. Like my kids, my husband is very involved and very, he knows about what's going on with them and very connected. And my dad was like that. He was the typical provider. He provided for us. He took care of everything. But the weekends, he wasn't with us. He was with his buddies out in the street, gambling, drinking, that kind of thing. So I was never a daddy's girl. So for me, like when I hear people talk about, I'm a dad, no, I never really had that issue. So I think for me, I was always looking for validation from other men, well, guys, right? But I wasn't guy crazy. It's just when that guy came along, the first guy I dated, I was like, oh, he was saying all those things that my dad didn't say. And I know there's a lot of women who have daddy issues, right? And so we go looking for love from people that may not necessarily be the best person for us because, we got daddy issues, or we tend to repeat what we've seen other people do, right? So then typically, right, I would go and find somebody who has an alcohol addiction or does the same things because that's normal for me, right? That's what I saw in my household. except I made a decision because I was exposed to other people. I didn't want that. So, I made a decision. I didn't like having an alcoholic father, and I didn't want to subject my children to that. So if I got married, which I didn't really want to get married in the beginning, and I talk about that in the book, like I was like, I don't think I can do this. I'm out. Somebody else could do this. But I think it was just a conscious decision for me after seeing what my mother had gone through with my father. I made a conscious decision. I didn't want that for myself. So I started being very particular about who I dated and who I wanted to. So not without mistakes, at first, but I did make a decision at some point to choose me. So.
Oh, Lord. Did y'all hear that, ladies? Come on, ladies. I just want them to get the nuggets.
Yeah.
She made a decision at some point to choose her. And it's something else that you said that was really good too, that we either go all the way from the parents' behavior or all the way into it. So we become enablers. We go find us a drunk because that's normal for us. Because I came from a dysfunctional family too. So Scott, tell us a little bit about your family.
Sure. Let's see. My dad was a career Navy person. But now he's retired now, but so he spent 28 years in the Navy. So being a Navy brat is what they call the kids of Navy officers. We traveled all over the world. Well, excuse me, the country, not the world. So my mom was in the house, and she pretty much was the rock in the house, because dad at times through the Navy would be out to sea. And when he went out to sea, it would be sometimes upwards of 6 months. He'd be gone. So my mother was in a house with 3 sons. I'm the youngest of 3 sons. So 3 knucklehead boys growing up, mom by herself, handling business. And dad, dad was gone out to sea. I mean, he wasn't gone because of a bad thing. Obviously, he was gone for good reason, but still he was not there. So we put my mom through it. I admit, being a knucklehead little boy, we did that. But the thing was, when dad came back, when dad was in the house, and when dad was not out on his tours, he was very much the head of the house. He was very much the man of the house. And it was one of those situations where if you were messing up, my mom would be like, wait till your father gets home. I know I'm dating myself, but that's something that would be a true statement in our house. So if we attempted to cut up and act a fool, dad would come home and find out about it, and it wouldn't be nothing nice. So I mean, and the funny thing is too, is though, since my dad was in the Navy, he wasn't one of those stereotypical military dads where we had to salute him or call him sir. It wasn't that deep, but my dad was very, very serious about us like not using slang in the house. We weren't allowed to speak slang. We weren't allowed to act up around our mother. If we disrespected our mother in any way, dad would get us. And we wouldn't even attempt to mess up with dad, because dad was the man, and then he asserted himself as such, and I'm glad he did. So he was a very strong, powerful father figure in my life. And when he was with my mom, when they were together, there was always love. He had no problems having public displays of love in front of us. Us being boys were like, oh, ugh, but we saw it, and it was cool. I mean, they fought, obviously they fought, but when they fought, it wasn't anything like no cut down, drag out, throwing stuff, yelling and fussing. Wow. They had their differences, but we saw more instances of them being together, being loving, than we saw them fighting. So I grew up around that, and that's kind of that did influence me later on to say that when I went to go start dating, I didn't want to find some woman who was just wishy-washy, didn't assert herself, and was just a doormat. My mother was a strong woman, and she handled her business. And after we got a little older, she was a stay-at-home mom when we were younger. And when we got older, she started working in banking. So mom always had something to do. Mom was always about business, and she's always about her relationship with the Lord as well. So I had that as a model. Like we were talking about earlier, like Yolanda said, you go out and looking kind of for what your parents are, or looking for something that's not your parents. I look for something that was like my mother. I mean, I sound like one of those mama's boys, but it really isn't that. I mean, not to the point I'm looking for my mother, but I had expectations of women to be, okay, you have to be a strong woman. You have to know what you want to be in your life. You know what you want to do in life, have a purpose, because I didn't see that growing up. I saw a woman on a mission. So that's what I look for.
Amen.
Woo! Characteristics of Proverbs 31 woman.
Yes.
Out here in these streets, I'm trying to tell y'all, some of us ladies, listen, every man is not looking for somebody twerking, half naked, jumping on tables, drinking shots, and all this. And even though I did that stuff, thank you, Lord, for deliverance.
Listen, we were all young once. Come on.
And I'm gonna say it like this:
that was normal.
Most guys look for those kind of women when they want to have a good time. But when they want to settle down and get serious, they aren't looking for those women. They're looking for, the women like
he said what he said.
like what I said, you know what I mean? So yeah, those women are good for a fun. They're good for a fun time, but they're not good for the long term.
Oh, yeah, I told y'all classes in session. Get your pen and paper because the instructors are talking. Some of y'all listen.
He dropped it early, Trey.
He can drop the mic. We can leave now. So
I should have waited on that one.
that was good. Every woman on here, I'm just, we need to hear this. We need to hear this real talk about what real men want, who were raised right. Not saying that because a person wasn't in a 2-family home, they weren't raised right. But your mother had characteristics of a Proverbs 31 woman. Your mother was a whole woman. Your mother was healthy. Your mother was loving. Your mother was kind. So we have to make sure that we understand that dysfunction, because my ex-husband was raised like you. So his parents were very influential in his life, and they were good parents. Not that my mom wasn't, but my situation was dysfunctional. So when we came together, it was like I was looking at him like, your mama don't drink, because my mother was an alcoholic and a drug addict. So I was looking at his mom when she used to come to the kids' birthday parties, because kids' birthday party turned to grown-up birthday party. Right. And I was like, your mother don't drink? He was like, I ain't never really seen my mom drink, maybe occasionally a sip, but I found that quite weird. I was like, what kind of mother is that? Like, she don't drink and party? So it's just so important to share our upbringings at the beginning of our relationship so that we know what lens we grew up in. So when we get into it, it doesn't become the problem. Oh, yes. We're already the big pink elephant in the room. So let's do, so we see all of this stuff on social media and this and that, relationship goals. What should be our relationship goals?
So I always find that question, because people always say, oh, Yolanda, you and Scott are relationship goals. I'm like, yeah, Scott and I didn't start out as relationship goals. We had to work through some stuff. I mean, you just heard me say my dad was an alcoholic. That definitely influenced how I looked at my husband, because I loved my husband, but I still had some man trust issues underneath, right? Because, I was raised in a situation where, my mom always told me to have your own money on the side in case something happened. And, I always felt like I had to take care of myself. And I had to depend on myself because, a lot of men are unreliable, because most of the men in my life were unreliable, right? And so that kind of stuff, it doesn't go away when you get married. It's actually magnified, right? Ooh. So when you get in that marriage and you're dealing with your husband who's from a different background than you guys don't have the same experience, all of that stuff starts bubbling to the surface. Ooh. Okay, so the goals we should have for our relationships is to learn how to be committed, number one, right? So that's what we talk about in the book. There is so many people that talk about they want to be in a relationship, but only when it's convenient. Yes. Right? We want to be in when it's good. But I don't know. When I stood at the altar, it said for better or for worse.
Uh-oh.
Not for better and for best.
Right.
Uh-oh.
Right. And I don't care who you in a relationship with, whether it's your friend, your children, your dog, whatever, you're going to have some times when y'all don't agree and y'all are not going to see eye to eye. And that's when we really have to decide whether we're committed to the relationship.
Woo!
I'm telling you.
I listen.
Because it's easy to walk. It's easy to walk away if you're not feeling it.
Y'all know I got my notes right, because I looked in the book, and let me tell you what my note says. My note says commitment is a vow to show up and remain. Yes. Hold on, I got to read that again because I done highlighted, etched everything. Commitment is a vow to show up and remain. Yeah. In these times today, people are opting out so fast.
Yes.
What gives you guys the glue to stick together? What gives you guys the tenacity? Wait, first of all, tell everybody how long y'all been married.
It's been 24 years. It'll be 25 come this August.
Yes. Yes.
Woo!
Yes. Almost a quarter of a century.
Quarter of a century. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
What keeps you guys together when we talked, our first interaction together, we talked about how you guys went through a season of, Scott was busy and it seemed like he wasn't into you.
Right.
Yeah.
What kept y'all in it at that time?
Well,
You go.
Okay, so at that time, you're talking about year 13. Year 13 was.
He always says the number.
I have to because I mean, there's that stigma about the number 13, and
I love it.
It held true in our marriage because
Yeah,
I acted a darn fool, and I had just lost sight of my wife being my helpmate in my when I want to say soulmate, my helpmate and my confidant. So I started. Let me rewind just a little bit here because before year 13, or just in the beginning of year 13, I rededicated myself to the Lord and I got baptized.
Mm-hmm.
Hallelujah! I was baptized. Little did I know that declaration of me having Jesus in my heart and being in a relationship with Jesus put a target on my back. I didn't realize that spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
So through year 13, the enemy was coming at me, and he had me to think that I was right about everything. What I wanted to do was right, and I didn't want to hear anything different. I didn't hear anything to the contrary. And so I started to just do things without really consulting with her. I started to just get into myself and do what felt good to me, but not necessarily what felt good to, or what was good for our relationship and our marriage. So, and whenever Yolanda came to me and tried to talk to me about that, saying, "Listen, Scott, I mean, I love you, but what you're doing right now, I mean, let's just talk about it. I don't really like what you're doing right now because," and I can't even really remember. Well, it's in the book, but the shenanigans that I put her through. Right. But the thing was that when she would come to talk to me about it from a place of love and a loving place, I didn't receive it that way. I received it as an attack. I received it as, "You're nagging me. Get off my back. I'm doing what I'm doing because, hey, I'm providing. I'm the man here." And it took, oh goodness, it took for me really to be broken down one time in the parking lot behind one of my jobs, the job I had at that time, where I was in my car mad because I said, "Why doesn't she listen to me? Why is it?" And I'm praying to God, doing one of those famous "get 'em God" prayers instead of one of those "work on me God" prayers. Right. And so what God hit me with was, "Son, it's you, not her." I'm like, "What do you mean me? Come on now. I'm doing everything right. What do you mean to me?" But when I actually got my eyes opened by that, and I remember the song. The song was Kirk Franklin's song.
Toby Mac.
Know
that I'm God.
I'm God.
I'm God.
That be still and know I'm God. And there's a line of the song that says, "Can I get up now?" That's where I felt. I was on the ground, down spiritually, and I was like, and then when God gave me the revelation that I had to work on me. And I had to make sure that I had to get myself right with him, and then in turn get myself right with her. Yeah. And it wasn't her fault; it was me. I was floored. So I was like, "Can I get up now?" Wow. And literally, I came in, and then I pulled her aside. I said, "Baby, okay, wow, I'm sorry." And and she had every right to be angry at me, and she loved me, and she stuck with me.
I didn't want to hear it at the time.
But at the time, she wasn't ready to hear it. So it was one of the things. I had pushed her away.
Right.
And then I realized, "Oh, wait a minute, baby, I want you here." And she was like, "No, I'm away. You pushed me away."
Yeah.
And it took some time. It took a lot of time and a lot of consistency.
Yeah, I would like to say that it happened overnight, but nothing happens overnight.
No.
It took us a couple of years.
It took us a couple of years
to work back towards each other.
To get back into it. And it took for me to be consistent with my actions and be consistency with the love that I showed to her and the respect that I showed to her, because she's not my subordinate. She is not my, just roommate. She is my wife. She is who God gave to me in my life to help me to grow and to help me to be a better man, to help me to be the man that God wants me to be. And I failed to see her like that at that time. But now then I realized that I started seeing her that way. I had to prove to her and show to her, because one of her love languages is acts of service. So I had to figure out, okay, I had to, again, consistently give her those acts of service, to say that my words alone won't do it. It's all about what I do and my actions. Yolanda's mother has a phrase that she said, "Believe less of what the man says and more of what the man does."
That's right.
So I had to epitomize that myself into my relationship with her in my marriage. So it took me some time, but then we got through it. And then year 15, we renewed our vows, and then we started anew with a new passion and a new fervor that we've been carrying since then. So amen for that. But it did take us to go through that, and it took us a couple of years to recover from that. So
what you have to understand is the person you marry at the altar the first time is going to be different 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the line.
Yes.
And you have to allow for space for people to change and to deal with their own stuff. You got to give some grace.
You do.
Woo.
And I'm telling you, that's not easy.
Yeah.
Woo. I just want the people to hear.
That's not easy.
It took them 2 years to find each other again. There's so many people who are giving up on their marriages because they think I said I was sorry. I've been nice to her for 3 months. I've been nice to her for 3 months, and I talk about this with my women, a lot of my women clients who are working on themselves, because when they come to me and they have problems within their relationship, my job is to work on you, not for you to complain about your husband, fiance, boyfriend. My job is to work on you. So when I tell them that his behavior is this, his behavior, what's your behavior?
How about that?
You know, after 2 months, they're like, I've been nice, I've been doing this. I said, what took 2 years, 3 years, 4 years to happen is not going to take you 2 months. I tell them this is going to take some real time.
Yes.
It's going to take some real time for him to believe that there's actually a change in you.
Yes.
So I love that. I want the men to hear Scott was willing to put 2 years in, or 3 or 5, whatever it took.
Yes.
He wasn't going nowhere. It took 2 years, and he was like, not like, oh, well, I'm about to go find me somebody else, or I ain't got to deal with this.
Right.
No, he nurtured his wife until they found each other again. Because again, like you said, those issues with my dad creeping, oh, I knew it. You know, that self-sabotage will tell you, oh, I knew this was going to happen. It took 15 years, but I knew it.
But Trey, the funny thing that you say about that, I love what you tell your clients, because God was dealing with me at the same time he was dealing with him. And he said to me, Yolanda, you're going to have to show your husband unconditional love if this is going to work out.
Woo.
I said, I got to do what? I said, who shows me unconditional love? Everybody loves me with conditions. As a daughter, I'm loved with conditions. As a mom, I'm loved with conditions. As an employee, I'm loved with conditions. They want me here on condition of I do these things. Who teaches us how to love people unconditionally? That's so counter human being, right? We want what me. And God said, I'm going to teach you how to love him unconditionally. And he said, if this was your child, what would you do?
Woo, girl, you about to make, where's my tissue? You making me emotional. I don't even know why I'm getting emotional about this, but that just hit me like
I was like, but they're kids. They're kids. I have to love them. He goes, so your husband is different from your children?
Wow.
You would give them unconditional love, but you won't give it to him?
Oh,
and that thing hurt me so bad.
Oh, that
was a turning point for me.
Wow.
Because he challenged me.
I just want people to understand that marriage is good. This is when I tell my clients too. They say, when is it time to walk away? And I tell them, it's time to walk away when it becomes your job. Marriage takes work, but it shouldn't be your job. You shouldn't be the CIA, FBI, looking under floorboards, checking through stuff. It takes work, but it shouldn't be a job that consumes all of your energy. But you're going to have to work on some things. So I love that you guys were willing, and for people to hear that you stuck it out, and it did not take 2 weeks, or we sorry the next day. Let's talk about a head of household. You know, we're Christians. And I don't care who knows it. If you like it, you love it. If you don't, you don't. But people get so antsy with 2 things when I talk to women and when I talk to men. It's 2 things that itch people's nerves, and that is the word head of household and submission. So I want to talk about well, those are 2 things that set folks up. If I say to a woman, you know, the man is the head of the husband is the head of the household. Right. They want to go up in arms. So what is your take on head of the household?
I find that interesting. I'll take the submission piece.
Okay, I was good. Okay,
I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there. When we got married the first time, I told them take submission out. I'm not submitting because and I'm gonna bring it around for you.
Let
bring it around.
That went back to my daddy issues, right? Ooh. How can I submit to somebody? What if he start acting like my daddy, right? What if he start tripping and slipping and dipping? I'm not doing all of that. Like, but that came from what I saw, right, in my childhood, right? I didn't have a family. They wasn't holding hands and kissing like Scott's parents were. It was a different view for me. And when we had our renewal at 15 years, I didn't say it once. I said it twice. And I said it because he had earned, or he had proven, not earned, but he had proven to me that he had my back through good and bad. Yeah. And so we were on a mission together to make this thing work. And in my eyes, after all we had gone through, the other thing that I realized is that God was putting him in his rightful place, right? I had been spiritually holding the house down until then. I was the one praying and reading and, doing all these things. And when he rededicated his life to Christ, that's when the devil attacked us, because he was moving into his rightful place.
Oh,
strong man at the door.
Right?
And that goes the head of the household. Woo!
And covering me now. Right? And so the enemy came for us because of that. Yeah. I realized that much later, but that's what was happening. And then the other part of that, Trey, is I had to learn to let him be that.
Woo!
So I had to decrease so he could get in his place.
Come on, instructor Yolanda.
And not like that,
Yes.
If you break down the word submission,
go ahead, baby.
Under a mission. So if the man is not on a mission, what are you going under?
What are you going under?
What are you under? So
does your marriage have a mission?
If marriage has no mission, what are you operating under? So
submission means somebody trying to make something happen. Like we building something.
There's the root is mission. And if there's no mission, what are you submitting to?
Yeah. We have always had plans for our marriage. We have always, and honestly, Trey, when you asked earlier what made us stay, we knew God had something big for us together. God told me when I prayed, you cannot leave this man. He is where your future, your destiny is together.
He has a purpose.
Boy, where's my Boaz? God. Let me tell you something. Yesterday, I had took a shower. I was getting out the shower, right? And I was like, I was so mad with God for like 5 minutes. I was like, God, where's my husband? I almost popped my arm out the socket trying to put lotion on my back. I was like, what is going on here, God? Jesus. Well, I love this so much. Yeah. Go ahead, Scott.
Okay.
Talk about head of the household.
On the subject of head of the household. Well, okay, so biblically speaking, yes, the man is the head of the household. However, it's not a thing of, by being the head of the household, I'm the dictator, I'm the king, and I'm the tyrant. It is more of a thing of, I have to be spiritually in my right place as head of the household. But as far as decisions for the household, as far as mission for the household, that is a joint effort between the pair of us. So it's not the case of me being the head of the household and that I direct her and I say, you should do this because I said so.
That's right.
It's a thing of, okay, I'd like to do this. What is your take on it? How does then we think about what benefits the household? What is something that we do? Any major decision that we make in our household, we fall back and we say, okay, is this something that is going to help or hurt the household?
Right.
And we pray on it, because that is not a thing of me saying, thou shalt follow my orders because the Bible says. It's more of a thing of, okay, I know my place spiritually, but I also know the fact that she's my helpmate. So it's not a thing of she does what I say. All right. So we talk about that in the book. I know we keep plugging the book, but in the book, we actually do talk about the fact that major decisions in our household are made together.
Yes.
We do not do anything that would affect the household in any capacity, any large capacity, without consulting with one another. Right. Small things, okay, fine. But big things, no.
Yeah.
So the head of the household is understanding that, you do put the direction out there. You you navigate the ship, but you're not the only person steering the ship. You're not the only person dealing with the ship. Everybody the two of us deal with the ship.
Contribute.
We all
Yeah.
contribute to the ship.
Yeah.
And that makes it so it sails properly.
That's what keeps marriages together. When y'all
Yes.
build something together. So many people want to go into marriage and they want to be single married. That doesn't work. You can't be over here and he over here. What are y'all building together?
No.
I have a person I know who's been married 15 years and they're headed for a divorce. And she said it's easy because we didn't build anything together.
Wow. Let's talk about building together. And
Sure.
you said something at the beginning, and this is on my question. We so aligned. We talked about this earlier. Y'all just be in my head and got all the questions I want to ask. But you said something earlier, and I remember Tyra Banks saying her mother told her to have a just in case fund or something like that. So talk about, first I want to just commend y'all for teaching the people that Scott, you submitted to Scott because Scott showed you that he was a man worth submitting to.
Yes.
He showed and proved that he was trustworthy to hold your heart, which I love. So you could trust your heart in his hand that he wouldn't crush it, squish it, or step on it. So I appreciate y'all teaching the people. My instructors are here. If you just tuned in, you're tuned in to lessons. And my guest instructors are Scott and Yolanda Lupton, and they have a book that is being released, Love Takes Time, and all of this information is in the book, and we're going to tell you where you can pre-order the book from at the end, because I think the book is so vital to healthy relationships. I think the book's going to be a movie. They think I'm crazy.
That, Trey.
They think I'm crazy. People be thinking I'm crazy, but I see stuff.
No, I received that.
Yeah, so let's talk about the money thing, because I know some couples have separate bank accounts. Some couple, what's mine is the woman, what's mine is mine, and what's his is his. And you see at the bottom of the screen where it says happy spouse, happy house. Wait, this way. Hold on, because we backwards.
I got you. I see it.
Happy house, happy spouse.
Right.
Happy wife, happy house, wife, and all of that other stuff.
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys do when it comes for over the years? How did you develop your money plan of I got my money, you got your money, this my money, this our money? Women.
Okay, so for us, Trey, we were married very young. Okay, so it's a little different when you have nothing. Because you building together, like literally from the bottom up. That's another thing. And if you have nothing together, y'all gonna be fine. Like y'all keep building that way. You come from nothing. So we set up a foundation very early. So for couples who are young, getting married, and you're starting out, we didn't believe in the separate but equal. This is not civil rights. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, we need to look at how we gonna build something together. So what we did was we set up 2 bank accounts where we each have our own checking savings accounts, right? And then there was a joint bank account that we put all the money in, that we paid all the household, all the investments, anything for the kids, all that stuff, anything for the house, all of that came out of that bank account. And what we did was give each other allowances. So we had an allowance that we took out of our paychecks. Each of us had the same amount. So you didn't have to come to somebody asking them for money. You had your own money. And then you also put additional funds in the savings account right out of your paycheck. So you had your own money. I had my own money. And then we have money together. And so those are the assets of the marriage.
I love it. So y'all got allowance now. Now, girl, you go ahead and spend your allowance on whatever. Don't come over here trying to.
And so I didn't have to ask my husband for money.
Ooh,
that was my discretionary fund. If I wanted to buy something or do something, I had my own money.
Right.
I love
it. If I wanted to go out and just
hang out with the guys,
buy some golf clubs, go golfing or whatever, I could do that because I had my own money. But when it came time to paying the bills of the house, we came out of the joint account. When it came time to pay for schooling for the girls, came out of the joint account.
Vacations, whatever, that was all out of the joint account. And we also had rules around when you could take money out of that account, how much you could spend out of that account before you had to let the other one know, so that there was never big amounts of money flowing out of that account and we're relying on that for bills and things like that. So we were very open. We made a statement at the beginning of our relationship. Scott and I were not traditional Christians in the fact that back then we weren't in the church. And so we lived together out of convenience, out of we didn't have a lot of money. So we stayed together a year or 2 before we got married. And we set back then, before we had joint accounts, we just agreed to pay different bills. But when we got married, we said, okay, no, we can't do this. If we're going to move forward, we have to combine these finances, and then we have to determine what we're going to do, how we're going to get a house, how we're going to do all these things together. Yes. So we bought our first home. We bought our home a year after we got married because we had already started consolidating our stuff.
We had a mission, y'all. And the thing is too, about that, the whole, she handles certain bills, I handle certain bills. Where we saw that goes astray is when she's took a look at her, she totaled up all her bills. I'm paying out $500, and I totaled up all my bills. Why he only paying $350? Huh? Why is that? So
but that wasn't us. I'm saying that can be a problem.
We've heard those kind of situations where that separate but equal thing like that, and then that gets to be a bone of contention, and there's so many disagreements and fights in marriages over money. So we're like, we didn't want to go.
Or people hiding money.
Or people hiding money,
right? Or like I had people that I knew that would go shopping and hide the bags in the car from the husband. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's an addiction. That's stealing.
You're hiding.
And that's
stealing. You stealing
from your marriage.
From your marriage. So
from your marriage, your husband should know these things. So that's when we talk about commitment, right up under that is trust.
Trust.
Right? When you do stuff like that, you make your husband not trust you, or your wife not trust you. Sky had a friend. He went out and bought $2,000 golf clubs and didn't tell his wife.
And was showing them off to me. I'm like, bruh, that's cool. And here I go. Does your wife know about it? He's like, whatever. I was like, okay.
They ended up divorced. They're divorced. By the way.
Oh no!
Not necessarily because of that, but that and the whole other thing. They're divorced.
But that's indicative of if you have trust issues one place, you usually have trust issues somewhere else.
Wow. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about I just have so many questions, and we're only so, first, let's talk about social media.
Oh, okay.
There are so many couples who are suffering because of social media, right? Yeah. And this goes along with social media, goes along with secret inboxes, and social media goes along with old friends popping up, and social media goes with, I can have female friends, I can have male friends. So first, let's talk about social media. What is the etiquette for you guys with social media?
So for me, if it looks inappropriate, it's inappropriate.
Yeah.
If it would be misconstrued to my husband, if he would feel some type of way, if he saw the conversation or a picture or whatever, then I shouldn't be doing it.
Right.
If you feel like you need to hide it, you shouldn't be doing it.
Oh, I love it. I always say to people, like when I was in a relationship, if you can't say it on my wall, don't say it to me at all.
No.
Okay.
Just don't be in my inbox. Even single.
Yes.
This is not a dating site for me. Like if you can't say it on my wall, don't say it at all, because you're making me uncomfortable. And I'm single with certain conversations. I'm just like, good morning, beautiful. Like, what do you want? Exactly. I mean, probably why I don't have
if I'm saying on my social media I'm married, can you respect that?
Right.
Now, I'm gonna tell you, dudes slide in my DMs all the time. My husband know about all of them.
And how about she knows all my passwords. She can unlock my cell phone. She can get in there and she can see everything.
Same for me.
I have no secrets, because for me personally, it's too hard to manage secrets. It's too hard to have all that playing in the background while I'm trying to keep up appearances and do another thing. That's just too difficult for me. I can't multitask that to that level. So I'm like, I err on the side of this transparency. I'm like, look, baby, this is everything for me. I do very little on social media, but when I'm out there, like Yolanda said, I've had people from my past relationships hit me up on Facebook or hit me up, and then they say, hey, how you doing? I'm like, I'm fine. Yeah. And my wife is fine too. So I'm like, yo, for real, I'm not going back. I don't go back because there's nothing there. Not for all the effort and everything and all the love and stuff I have here. I have no need to go anywhere else for it. And
my thing is, if you're working on what you got, you're not worried about all of that.
You don't have time. You have no time to try to pour into something else when all your energies and efforts are maintained here. So that's the way I look at it. I'm like, look, if it's going to cost me the extra work to do it, I ain't going to do it. I got enough work to do. I got enough things to worry about. I can't have that on the side too. That's just too much.
I know that's right. And again, you said something about secrets. It's hard. You're only as sick as your secrets. And people need to understand that secrets cause sickness.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Spiritually, mentally, emotionally, when you're trying to hide stuff, it starts to show up in your health. You can't sleep. The demons start to chase you.
Yep.
It ain't even worth it. Now let's talk about, and speaking of social media. Now I read some of the book, right? So in the beginning of the book, right? See, I don't know. It taught me something. The book taught me something in the beginning. Like in the beginning of the book, when you guys talked about your previous relationships, the one, your first relationship when you had to break up, and you know he was the love of your life, and then you talked about the other chick that, you know, the one who started failing out of school. I won't tell it all, but it was a sense of you really like these people. Like, how did that make y'all feel when y'all were writing it and when you were reading it? Like, you reading about James, that was his name, right? James.
Yes. Well, we changed names so that.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just.
But James in the book, yes.
Yeah, for reference, because you know I'm
absolutely. Like, yeah, we didn't want to put anybody up.
How did that make you feel? Some kind of way to read about James and to read about the other girl that both of y'all.
No, here's why. When we were first dating and getting serious with one another, we talked about everything.
We sat down,
and spilled the tea. So I told her, I was upfront and honest. I said, listen, I could count on one hand how many relationships I had. And, you know, I talked about one of the things I always talked about was the butts. Now, okay. Let me qualify. Not their butts. I'm talking about one T, not two T's. So what does that mean? Okay, so she is so nice, but she doesn't do this. She would be so cool, but she doesn't do that. So I explained to Yolanda, all those past relationships had butts. And I was like, and those butts were part of the reason why I'm not with those ladies today. And so when we got together, I explained that to her. And she's like, oh, okay. And I was upfront with her because I was thinking, if ever any of the ladies in the past, if any of my butts came up in front of us, she'd be like, "Oh, that's okay. That's who that is."
Which actually
did happen once at a party.
I ended up running into one of his exes at a party.
One of his butts.
One of my butts was at a party one time, and she had the nerve to try to be like pushing up on me. I'm like, "Okay, look, whoa, okay, time out."
Yeah, that was when I had a problem. I was like, "Wait a minute,
I'm here with."
Hold up.
We were dating at the time. I'm here with my girlfriend. She's like. And she was all like, yeah, so I'm like, okay,
right.
No, all right, listen.
I'm from Jersey. I didn't like that. I'm just saying.
I know that's right.
Hello. But I was like, listen, everything you got, she got. And I'm choosing hers over yours. Okay. So I had to kind of pretty much tell her that. I said, look, I was done. But yeah.
But see, she thought I didn't know who she was.
Thought she was on the slick.
And that's where that comes in handy when you know, and then you know why. Like, so I never felt insecure because I know why he left her. I know why I was a better choice. So I didn't have any problems with that. And the same for him. He ran into my ex, James.
I ran into James.
We went home to Jersey and James was in the mall and ran it. And so having told each other's all about our exes, neither one of us ever felt insecure when we saw them because we already knew why we left. The other one already knew the story, so it was nothing they could say to make you feel some type.
They had nothing on us, so there's nothing that they could like blackmail us with. There's nothing they could try to like break us up because of. Like, no.
Some people think that's taboo, but you take the power away from the situation when you just have a talk about it. We don't want to have those hard conversations. We're a bunch of punks nowadays. We don't want to talk about the hard stuff. But if you just talk about it, you take that power away from it to control you. And that's what people don't understand. That's why communication is so important.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I love this. Listen, they was butts, but Yolanda was an and.
That's right.
She's pretty and she got a job. She pretty.
I like that.
She pretty and she a proverb.
Oh man, Trey, I'm gonna have to use that. I like that. Too, I never saw the and.
I like that. Butts aside because I had the and.
Yes. Yes. I love y'all. Listen, I just thank y'all tonight while we're in the middle of just giving women and men hope, right? Yeah. And that accountability piece that Scott is talking about, to give your passwords, that is a level of security within your marriage. When you know a person could pick your phone up and go into it, it will deter you from doing some stuff that you would do if your phone was locked and loaded.
Yes.
Of course, you know, if my wife going this, you know, I don't want no kind of trouble. So it's unlocked. You might see a DM from somebody, correct them if you see one. I don't have a problem with that. So I just love this. Now let's talk about one more thing about opposite sex. Is it healthy in relationships to have for Yolanda to have male friends and for Scott to have female friends? How does that work with you guys?
You want to, I mean, we have friends of opposite sex. And but my friends know, they know my husband. They've been introduced to my husband. Yes. They know we are very close and they respect I have boundaries, right? So you're not calling me all times in the night. We're not staying on the phone hours and hours. Like, no, we're not doing all of that. If you have a concern and you want to talk about it, no problem. You want to meet for dinner and my husband knows, babe, I'm going to drop by and see so-and-so. He wanted to talk about blah, blah, blah. A lot of times I'm just talking to them about their relationships. Right. And the stuff that they want a female perspective. And so a lot of my guy friends call me a chew. They say, you like a female dude. You always give us the real like, like you always give it us so I'm the girl they call when they want to get the real, like, Yolanda, I don't understand. Like, what you think about this? So because we have been married for so long and because, you know, a lot of my guy friends have been friends with me for so they know who I am as a person and they know I'm going to give them I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to tell them you dead wrong. Like you acting crazy. So it's an accountability thing with me for most of my guy friends. So, but they all know Scott. Yeah. Scott's cool with them. They know if I'm going out, he already knows. But also my husband is not the type of person to be calling me every 5 minutes, asking me where I'm at and are you at? But I am respectful of my husband that when I leave someplace or I'm headed, I'll go, babe, I'm on my way home.
I love that.
I'm good. Yeah. Like, you know, and sometimes he'll talk me all the way home because he's just like, I'll just stay on the phone with you.
So it makes sure he gets home safe. And the thing is too, like as far as me having female friends, I mean, I do. And the funny thing is, like I said earlier, I grew up in a house of all guys, and my mom. God has, in his infinite sense of humor, placed me in a house today where I'm the only guy. I have 2 daughters. So I went from being all male perspective to all female perspective. And being a girl dad, I'm like, so now when I have female friends, I can speak to them, I guess, in terms that they understand. I'm like, oh, you're going through that? Hey, listen, yeah, my daughters went through that. So here's what they did. And then, or they're like, oh, they asked me like, well, why is this dude doing this? I'm like, well, he's doing that because he's really not into you. The truth is, he just trying to play, you know. So stuff like that. I've had friend girls, they're not my girlfriends, but my friend girls ask me sometimes for advice, like you said, like. But then, in a male perspective, she said, "When the guy does this, what does that mean?" I said, "Well, I need to know more about what's going on. Give me the frame. I mean, give me the whole scenario, because I don't want to just jump to a wrong conclusion." And they would explain it to me. I'm like, "Okay, so that sounds to me like he wants to do this, or he's only looking at you for one thing."
Right.
So, but they some of them do come to me on that level just to say, "Okay, Scott, you know, how does this work?" and stuff like that. So, and
we keep it. You know, you don't go to people's houses.
No. I'm never like alone with them like that.
You know,
yeah, I'm not in their house doing that. I mean, we meet up at a place, and like Yolanda, she knows I'm there. I'm like, hey, look, baby, I'm gonna stop off at work and go talk to so and so. I'll be at this restaurant, whatever.
It's that open communication.
Because what I don't want to have happen is if I'm out there doing, I'm out there talking to a female friend, and then one of her sorors or what somebody sees me with them, they're like, like no. I'd be like,
hey. You know how we are.
Exactly.
So you know how we are. Oh, is that Scott? Let me take a picture.
Oh, yeah.
Girl, you know Scott up in Chili's, right?
Yes. Girl, you know they'll tell on him too. They'll be like,
here's the funny thing. I would rave at him, like, hey, what's up? Yeah. Tell you, yeah, Yolanda know what's up. They'd be like, okay. I wouldn't even try to hide it. I'd be like, yeah, this me. Right. And I'd be like, yeah, Yolanda knows I'm here too.
Right.
And she know Yolanda. So you know,
I love that.
Ain't nothing going on like that. You know what I mean?
I love it. Let's talk about there are deal breakers in marriages, right? I know that I've coached couples who went through infidelity, which is like the most horrible thing for anybody to go through a marriage, and they're still together, right? And when they came to me as a coach, I said, I'm not here to tell you to leave or to stay.
Right.
So let's talk about infidelity. And would that be a deal breaker for you? And are there any deal breakers for you ever?
So that's an interesting question. I will tell you, when we got together, because of my past, and that was something that was kind of like under the surface, a secrety thing in my parents. I didn't find out too much later. That would have been a deal breaker for me back then, because for me, it felt like I had watched my mom walk through this, and I wasn't so sure. I mean, I was young. When we got married, I was 25. I'm like, that was a whole different world back then for me. But I think the one thing that would probably have taken me over the top more would have been the addiction to alcohol. Would have been harder for me to deal with, because just watching people destroy themselves. I had watched that with my dad, and thank God my dad is not who he was then now. He has since, given his life to God, and he's walking on a different path now. But it took illness, it took a lot of different things to change him and to make him realize, like, you're going to kill yourself if you keep going down this path. And he lost 2 brothers to alcoholism. So, it took a lot, but he got there. And I know he was just living off my mama's prayers, because I tell you, she was praying every day that, he would be saved. But it's real addiction and infidelity and all those are really hard. Like, if you are not committed to your marriage, it will tear your marriage apart.
Yes.
Like, you have literally have to say, I'm going to work on this marriage and be committed to it until God tells me that if it's time for me to go, God will let me know. Knowing what I know, walking through what we walked through, we've had a miscarriage in our, we had a miscarriage between our first and second daughter. We had all of this crazy stuff go on year 13 to 15. I don't know if I would be so willing to walk out now, because I'm in a different place and I've been through so much with my husband. If he was working and willing to stay and be committed to the change, I can't say I would walk away today, but definitely when we first got married, that was a huge red flag for me. It was hard because of what I had lived through as a child and as a young adult. So
and I agree too, because it's like your perspective on your relationship, your marriage, and life even is different in your 20s than it is beyond your 20s. And like Yolanda said, almost 25 years of marriage, it would hurt. It would hurt me very deeply, but it wouldn't be a deal breaker. Either one of those two things, the addiction or the infidelity. I would be willing to work with her because I know who she is. And I know I've known her for so long and I built so much with her that I would be willing to help see her through either one of those issues, because I love her that much. But that took time.
Yes.
I mean, no pun on the book title, but love does take time. And that is something that you build over the years.
Yes.
So when we first got married and something like that had happened, 20-something-year-old Scott would have been like, I'm out, Paige. But more mature Scott now is like, oh, well, all right, what caused that? I'll be
there you go.
What is the root of why did you feel the need to turn to an addiction, or why did you feel the need to step out?
Right.
What is it that is going on in our relationship that you've needed to go elsewhere to seek this kind of comfort or this kind of escape?
Wow.
So then that would be more my concern than the actual act of what she did. So I would need to know, okay, why, and understand what that is. And so, like I said, that's just it's different.
There's always a root cause.
Ooh, this right here. Y'all listen, I got these are my non-negotiables, right? These are my deal breakers, right? This is just it for me at 52 years old. Like, these are my straight deal breakers. You cannot put your hands on me, because
that one, the abuse.
I come from a very dysfunctional family. There are 3 things that I can't deal with that will mentally probably make me have a nervous breakdown. That is addiction. I cannot go through rehab, drug addiction. I've been through all of that with my mom, through my family. You can't be addicted. You can't hit me. You can't cheat on me. Those are just at this age for me. And I'm so glad.
Honey, if I thought Scott was gonna put his hands on me, I'd be out of here. Let me tell you, Medea was right. I got cast iron skillets for a reason. Ain't nobody playing. Come on
now.
I love y'all so much.
That's not even what Jesus want for us. Come on.
No, but I love the growth.
His daughters. No,
I love so much the growth that you guys can sit here and say that the foundation of love, respect, trust, loyalty, and commitment will not let you walk away from your marriage for anything right now. I love that so many couples right now who are listening that are going through infidelity, that are going through addiction, that had that at the beginning, that people are in their ear to say, if it was me, I would leave. We always say, if it was me, I was leave until it's me, and then we don't leave.
Yes.
And so I want couples and people who desire to be married and those who are about to go down the aisle to know that there has been some work put into this marriage.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
And there is a foundation of a third strand that keeps you guys together. And I'm just so moved that you guys are the first couple that I'm interviewing on Love Lessons. And no, this was so purposeful from God, and we talked about this before. So let's talk about, now we're gonna get juicy.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, let's talk.
We gonna get juicy. So let's talk about, it's been 25 years.
Okay.
Things happen in marriage, in bodies and kids. And what do you do when, sex, if you're tired or not in the mood, how do you make your partner not feel rejected?
Oh my goodness. Well, let's just tell the truth and saying the devil. Sometimes you feel rejected.
Yep.
Oh,
It
okay.
happens.
It happens.
I'm leaving.
I know when Scott was in school, he was working on his doctorate. He was busy with work and then doing school work, and then we had a family to raise, and he would just literally hit the bed and just be out, like not thinking about it. And I always laugh because you always hear, especially in Christian circles, oh, the woman, she has to be, you got to make sure you taking care of your husband, da 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 da. But nobody talk about when the woman wants something and the guy is like tired, knocked out. You just like, well, what happened? Do I get can I get on the to-do list? Like, what's going on? Like, we not doing nothing tonight. Like, so it was just funny to me. Like, during those times, it was a couple nights I had my feelings hurt. I was like, he knocked out. Like, what I'm about to do, right? So, it is hard. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you. Sometimes it doesn't feel like rejection. It does, because you really want your husband to always see you as desirable, and you always want, you want him ready when you ready, and you want him to, but that's just not, it doesn't always happen like that, right? So then again, we have to allow for that. Okay, so now we got to take a step back and go, okay, what's going on, and where can we find some time to take care of us? Because at the end of the day, if this starts drifting, then we're going to have bigger problems. Right? Like, if I start feeling like my love tank is never getting filled, then I'm going to start looking somewhere else, and that's going to be a problem. So you always have to be aware that you have to make your spouse feel loved. I don't care how tired you are. It's been times I have been exhausted, but I was like, I refuse to have my husband out there looking for some other chick in the street. I'm not doing that. So I had to go in the bathroom, take myself a shower, throw some perfume on, and come back out there like Superwoman and be like, okay, I'm gonna be who I'm gonna be tonight, because I gotta be somebody, because in my head I gotta get it together. Because with women, it's in our heads, really. Like, we get in our heads. So whatever you gotta do, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying every night you're gonna feel like it, because it was times when the kids were young and I was exhausted, like from running around with these kids all day and trying to work, because I was a working mom. I wasn't a stay-at-home mom, so I was exhausted. And we always, what we would do, another thing we do is a couple times a year, we take trips away, just us. We would leave the kids with the grandparents or somebody else, and just spend the entire weekend doing whatever we wanted to do, even if that was just laying in bed all day.
My little dirty mind went left. My little dirty mind.
Oh, you was right. You was right.
You're dead on it.
You were right.
That was the purpose of those trips.
That was the purpose.
And that's the thing too, because
we could even tell them, bring us the food to the room. We ain't leaving.
We stay in robes all day. But
right.
Normally you hear like the guys complain like, oh man, my lady doesn't want to have love, make love, and all that stuff like that. But it happens both ways. And my thing was, for me personally, a lot of times it was a distraction thing. I was so distracted, so driven to do whatever it is I was doing, being the provider or achieving some goal or doing some task and stuff like that, to where that got pushed down on the list. And it wasn't an intentional thing. It wasn't like I looked at her as like, whatever. It was a thing of I consciously pushed it down. And Yolanda would come to me and say, baby, baby. I'm like, oh, yeah, there you are. Then I had to go look on the list. Like, oh, yeah, she's down there, number 12. Like, oh, shoot. So that for me, I had to make sure that while I was staying driven, while I was doing what I felt the Lord needed me to do, I also had to remember that my wife needs the attention too.
Exactly.
And my wife needs that touch, that intimacy, because, I am notorious for getting single track on something and on a task, being tenacious on a task and forsaking other things to get that task done. But I've learned over the years to say, okay, while that can be good, it can be productive, it can be very bad as well.
And women, I don't know if you heard the studies, women need to be hugged at least 3 times a day. I'm like, at least
for 30 seconds.
For 30 seconds.
Yes.
They say that actually stimulates feelings of comfort and love and all that stuff. So I told them, at least give me my 3 hugs. If you're not gonna give me anything else, I need my 3 hugs at least.
I know that's right. Come on now.
Hugs turn into other kind of love. Let's just hug.
The longer you hug, the more things happen. But anyway, that's for another show. But,
that's the other show we talked about. That's the other show. now y'all gonna go to stick around for the second half of the show.
Second half, right.
So I just want to ask you guys to give some advice to couples, all at the same time. Couples, those who are going down, married couples, those who are about to head down the aisle, and singles who desire to be married. What would you say?
The biggest thing I would say, I hear so many people looking for a soulmate. Look for somebody you can build with. Right? Look for somebody who shares your vision. Have a vision, right? Everybody's talking about, expectations. You should have some. You should know what you want. And if that doesn't align with what the other person wants, then don't marry them.
And also,
I'm leaving now. The show's over. Instructor Yolanda has dropped the mic on all of us. I'm getting out of here. Come on.
Also, and to piggyback off of that, also learn and love yourself.
Amen.
Okay.
But that goes with that. Yeah.
As a guy, I can spot a woman who is insecure.
Yeah.
Quickly. I can spot, single guys can do this very well too. If you are looking for a mate and you see this woman who doesn't really love herself or is kind of insecure, or they prey on that because they know how to manipulate that. But if the women take their time to learn themselves, love themselves, and have those all the criteria that they want to have for in a mate and everything, they know that stuff up front. They won't fall victim to those guys that I just described that will just prey on them. Same thing for the guys. Now, guys, we got to get over just the physical appearance. I know we are very visual creatures. Men, the eye gate is our most powerful gate. And we see a fine lady walk by and we're like, bam, there she is. But you need to know something. You need to have something to bring to the table yourself. And it got to be more than just you the stud, you look good, and you got it going on. Okay. That lasts only so long. Okay.
Yes.
So for the guys, my advice is build yourself. Again, love yourself as well, but build yourself. Make yourself someone that a woman would be attracted to, and someone that a woman would want to have in a relationship with them. You got to come. You can't be chilling on their couch, drinking up all their liquor, driving their car, driving up all their gas, and talking about I'm the man. Come here, woman. Okay, that ain't cool. All right, you got to be bringing something to the table as well. So
I love
this. Both of you should be whole. You're not looking for your other half. You're looking for your other whole.
Oh, wait. That's a hashtag and a tweet. You're not looking for your other half. You're looking for your other whole.
Looking for your other whole. We keep talking about the other half of me. No, you need him to be whole, and you need to be whole. And deal with the stuff.
Listen, I have to thank y'all again. The Luptons are the truth. They have instructed. They understood the assignment. You know how somebody say, I understood the assignment. They understood the assignment. So I want you to tell everybody where they can find you, where they can get the book, and what's next for the Luptons.
Well, the book is currently available in limited signed copies on our website, positivesumcoms.com/books. And you will see our book, Love Takes Time, there. It's the cover of the book, and you can order your copy and we'll get it shipped out to you and we'll sign it. We'll personally sign it. It will be available later on Amazon, but it won't have that love on it. Like, when we sign it, you'll just get the book. So
can you type that in the chat? They said they want the information in the chat for where they can book from. And what's next for you guys, Scott?
What's next? Okay, so with this book, we're looking to start off to do some seminars and everything off the book. We'd like to go out and to reach couples, to reach people, and to give them more of what we've given you tonight, just a little bit more in detail. There's a lot in the book that we didn't even talk about tonight that we would do in our seminars and everything. So we're looking to do those and to build upon that. And we also have some other projects we're thinking about too, but those will come later. But for right now, what's next for us on the book is to get out there and promote the book, but also to do those seminars and everything.
Well, we want to impact marriages. We want people, we wrote the book because we wanted people to understand that couple goals are really built over time and that's going to take time. That's why we said love takes time. Yeah. It's not this, no married at first sight. Yeah, you could do it, but you got some work to do afterwards, right? And there's no perfect person. We're all working on something or some part of ourselves. And so we want to impact marriages and we want people to fight for their marriages. We want people to stay in their marriage, stay committed, stay in trust, communicate. These are all the tenets of a good marriage. Great marriages are built. They don't just happen. You have to be intentional and you have to be consistent.
Oh, I love this. Great marriages are built. They don't just happen. So if you just tuned in, you're tuned into Love Lessons. We were here with the Luptons and they have really instructed us in the right direction to have healthy, whole marriages. Thank you for tuning into Love Lessons. Remember, happy house, happy spouse. See you next time. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us. We appreciate it.